Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Personally, I am practically all in on Tesla, aside from a relatively small amount of Bitcoin, which I keep as a hedge in case of the inevitable collapse of the dollar. My only other investment is Tesla. And by all in, I mean as much as I literally could. I have mortgaged my house as much as possible and maxed out my credit cards. Sure, 20% interest is high, but if that money gets 100% return, then it's still a good return. Don't worry, I can pay off my credit card debt soon enough if needed. I have the necessary money management skills, and in no way am I suggesting anyone else does this. Just to be clear, this channel is not about financial advice at all. I have absolutely no idea what your financial situation is, and therefore would never recommend to you what to do with your money. I have for friends and family, as I know what they can and cannot afford. As a result, some of them now have half their net worth in Tesla, due to the vast amount it has risen over time. But today, I sold some Tesla shares for my very first time ever, and they were about $620 when I did, not far off the bottom for the entire year, and I'm really glad I caught it so low. What? Has the Tesla economist gone insane, you might ask yourself? Why is he selling at such a low price, when he believes the stock is going to increase so much in the future? Well, like I said, I can't find any more money to invest in Tesla. So the only way I can really get any money to buy more Tesla is by selling Tesla shares. And no, I don't buy on margin, but I do buy options. So I was able to sell 30 shares and pick up a June 2022 call option with a strike price of $760 for just $150. I thought this was an incredible bargain. When you buy an options contract, you actually have to pay for the right to buy 100 shares with each contract. This is an important thing to know. I remember back in 2003, my father once bought 200 options contracts from Microsoft instead of 2, meaning he had the right to buy 20,000 shares instead of 200. It was a bit stressful, and he managed to get out at just a $1,000 loss or so. Oops. So anyway, you buy a contract in lots of 100 shares, and it gives you the right, but not obligation, unlike futures and forwards, to purchase, known as exercise, these shares any time between now and the option's expiry date. You can also resell the options at any time before then too. So I have essentially converted 30 shares into 100 shares. However, there was a cost in doing so at $150 per share. In addition to that, these shares will need to be repurchased at $760, and I sold them at $620, a discrepancy of $140. So the 30 shares I sold would need to recover a further $140 for them to be at the same price I sold them, as there is an opportunity cost of selling them and being out of the market. So I've created a model that will show how successful, or not successful, I've been at various price points for Tesla's stock. So at the top, we have sell price. This was the price I sold my 30 shares at $620, which equates to $18,600. This is the cash I used to purchase the options. Yes, I could have sold a few less shares to have enough funds, but I wanted to make sure I definitely had enough to cover a position. Then the option I bought had a strike price of $760, meaning that this is how much I will have to pay for each share if I want to exercise them, and the cost was $150 per share for the option, and each contract has 100 shares, so the total cost was $15,000 for my options. And then I've run scenarios of what my position will be at various price points of Tesla stock, from $800 to $2,400. Okay, $2,400 might sound extreme, Tesla quadrupling in just over a year, but it's done more than that in the past, so we can't rule out the possibility. Below that, we have an intrinsic value of the option. All the intrinsic value means is the difference between the stock price and the strike price of the option. So if the strike price is $760 and the stock price is at $1,000, the intrinsic value is $240. In other words, I could exercise the option at $760 and sell it on the market at $1,000 with a profit of $240. Of course, there was also the actual cost of buying the option at $150, so in the above scenario of the $240 profit, I would still need to subtract the initial cost of purchasing the option to get my profit, which in this case would actually be $90 per share. And as there are 100 shares in an options contract, that profit would equate to a total of $9,000. However, let's not forget, I also had to sacrifice 30 shares in order to do this. They would have also increased in value too. So given that I sold them at $620 each, and the stock price would be $1,000, that would mean a missed profit of $380 per share. And as I sold 30 shares, 30 times $380 is $11,400 that those shares would have made anyway. So if we subtract the $11,400 from my $9,000 profit, I would actually be $2,400 worse off by doing this trade. In fact, my real break-even point will be $1,034. So in other words, if Tesla's stock price is over $1,034 by June 2022, then this trade was a good idea. If not, then I've essentially made a loss. But as you can see, when we get to around the mid-$1,000s, I start to make a significant return. Just for the record, this option expires on June the 17th, 2022. So what could have happened to Tesla within that time? Of course, I have to hope there is not some sort of major market crash over that period, or my options value are essentially wiped to zero. Although I can only lose the money I put into the options and nothing more. So one way to look at it is almost like a lottery ticket, and seeing how many numbers I might catch when they get called out. So what potential numbers could I hit by this stage? I would expect Berlin to be fairly ramped up by then, potentially doing almost 150,000 Model Ys a month, with a very high profit margin too. Tesla's European market share should be above 70% by that stage, if this was the case, showing major domination in a major market. Although Texas may not be fully ramped up by June, I do believe they should be producing at a pretty good rate by then, given how large the facility is, and people will be loving the Cybertrucks. We should hopefully see the semi-truck and Roadster out by then as well. I expect to see the Model 2 revealed towards the end of 2021. Traditionally, most new Tesla model reveals have not been great for the stock price, but I think the Model 2 will be a big push, especially when we get the specs. The beta version of FSD will roll out and be improved further. This will be groundbreaking and give more confidence on regulation passing and the future of robotaxis. It would appear that every battery production company in the world has got the memo that they can sell all the batteries they make because Tesla will buy them all off them. And they're starting production on 4680 batteries themselves, along with Tesla possibly reaching nearly something like 200 gigawatt hours annual run rate by about June, just from their own in-house production. This would also mean Tesla are able to get more into the energy storage side of the business too. Tesla will likely have started production in the Shanghai Model 2 factory and would get some idea of the sheer size that will be, along with possibly a factory in India and UK, and perhaps even some others, or if not, at least confirmed that there might be. Just seeing the factory expansion is always a good sign of the company's growth. So, unfortunately, I just might miss the 2022 Q2 delivery numbers, but hopefully close enough to catch the rumours of how well they should have done. But I would have caught Q1 deliveries and earnings, and we'll be able to see just how profit margins have increased by that stage. So hopefully there are enough chances of me hitting something big enough to take the stock price north of 1,000. Of course, if I had enough cash in the first place, I would have just bought more shares. Now, my next job is to try and come up with $76,000 by June 2022, so I can actually exercise these options in time. No pressure, but it would definitely help if you hit that subscribe button for me. Thanks for listening.